Night covered the forest in heavy, quiet air. Lights flashed suddenly in the sky, creating a bright tier above the trees. A burning object crashed into the deep green land, shaking the ground and scaring the wildlife around it. Researchers hurried toward the glowing crater with cameras and equipment, unsure of what they would find. The object cracked open and dark fluid moved out like living paint, crawling along rocks and branches. The researchers watched in shock, unable to explain what they were seeing. They had no idea that something else had already arrived quietly above them, hidden and observing. A cloaked alien craft hovered above the trees, scanning every movement and every heartbeat with silent precision. Its pilot, a skilled hunter, prepared to descend with confidence, earned through many difficult hunts. Heat readings revealed interesting life patterns within the forest, including the dark organism that moved. Without a clear form, the hunter activated landing protocols and touched the ground without making a single sound. The researchers continued to document the strange organism while camping near the crater, unaware that multiple unknown beings now shared the same space. The air grew tenser with each passing minute, creating a quiet sense of upcoming conflict. During the night, the hunter's mask detected the dark organism crawling near its equipment. The organism reacted to the hunter's presence and moved in a curious manner rather than aggressive. The hunter reached for a tool to collect samples. Believing the organism might be a new form of life and a worthy discovery, the organism leaped toward the hunter and wrapped around, his arm moving with liquid motion and adapting to his armor. The hunter struggled to remove it, but the organism continued to bond, reshaping and fusing with incredible speed. Energy readings spiked around them as the merging completed, turning two into one. The fused being stood taller with black organic armor covering every detail of the alien body. The mask evolved, adding moving living patterns and glowing lines over the surface. The fused being moved a hand, and organic blades formed without metal or technology. The forest echoed with animal calls while the fused being tested its new abilities with curiosity. Each movement felt natural and balanced, as if both minds agreed to work together toward a shared purpose. The researchers packed their equipment, planning to report the event to a nearby base, but they never noticed the fused being watching them from the shadows. The researchers hiked toward the nearest research outpost with the footage they collected from the crater, believing they had discovered something important for scientific study. One of them noticed strange marks on trees, but assumed it was due to wildlife. Thermal cameras at the outpost detected unusual activity within the forest, but the team assumed it was environmental interference. Meanwhile, the fused being approached, slowly adapting to the layout and learning about human technology. The fused being moved with silent accuracy, making no mistake and leaving no trail behind. The mystery grew deeper while questions had no answers inside the outpost. The researchers analyzed the recordings and tried to identify the black fluid creature from the crater. None of their data matched any known species or organism recorded. On Earth, a senior researcher suggested that the organism might not belong to this planet at all. The possibility created tension among the team as they wondered what else could have arrived from beyond the sky. Their equipment suddenly detected movement outside near the tree line, triggering alarms and lights around the building. The researchers gathered near the windows, hoping to identify the source of the movement, but nothing was visible outside. The fused being moved along the roof of the outpost, observing the humans with curiosity and a sense of calculation. The fluid part of the fusion allowed it to bond with surfaces and move in ways no human or alien body alone could manage. The hunter part analyzed potential weaknesses and escape routes without making a sound. The combination created an entity with no clear limit and no clear weakness. The humans argued about contacting authorities, but communication signals kept failing without clear reason. Fear grew inside the outpost, not from danger but from uncertainty, a more powerful force than any weapon. Morning arrived with light touching the trees and removing the heavy darkness of the night. The fused being no longer watched from afar. It stood at the edge of the clearing, tall and calm, observing helicopters leaving the outpost in haste. It did not pursue or attack or destroy. It simply allowed them to leave, as if patience had become part of its nature. The fused being turned back toward the forest, ready to explore Earth and learn more about its new world. What began as two separate arrivals became one ultimate hunter, and the hunt had only begun. The fused being moved through the forest with quiet grace, adapting to wind, temperature, and terrain, as if Earth had become familiar ground to it. Animals paused and looked toward the dark figure, sensing a presence unlike anything from their world. The fused being reached a small waterfall and watched the reflection of its new form changing shape without breaking harmony. Black texture moved across armor like living ink, reacting to thoughts and surroundings. Within the calm river, the fused being noticed unfamiliar signals in the distance and decided to investigate. Far from the forest, a secure research facility prepared for arrival of helicopters from the outpost, technicians rushed to clear landing zones and to set up temporary labs for incoming samples. The facility director believed they would gain major scientific recognition after analyzing the mysterious material found within the crater. Helicopters landed with urgency, and the researchers exited carrying equipment and footage with trembling excitement. They reported witnessing strange phenomena inside the forest, claiming that an unidentified creature had merged with an alien organism. The staff exchanged uncertain looks, debating whether the report was factual or exaggerated. Inside the main lab, large monitors displayed thermal footage of something moving with inhuman flexibility across the forest floor. Scientists paused in disbelief, unable to categorize the creature into any known biological group. No one could confirm if it was hostile or neutral, and this unknown factor created tension within the room. The director requested additional observation teams to gather more data, but communication channels remained unstable and unpredictable. Engineers worked to restore a stable link with the outpost, but interference continued without clear source. Fear slowly replaced excitement as uncertainty grew heavier in the air. Back in the forest, the fused being reached a steep hill overlooking the facility from afar. Its vision adjusted through multiple layers of perception, identifying heat signatures, movement patterns, and structural weaknesses without effort. The living organism within the fusion reacted to unfamiliar technology with curiosity, while the alien hunter mind calculated potential entry paths. Neither part sought destruction, only understanding and advantage. The fused being moved toward the facility, yet with patience rather than urgency, choosing to observe before taking any further action. At the facility perimeter, security drones activated, scanning for animal movement and irregular heat signals. They identified no immediate threat and continued regular patrol patterns across the outer fence. Inside the command center, the director prepared a briefing for higher-level officials to inform them about the discovery from the crater. However, every attempt to send a full report failed midway as communication lines continued to distort and reset. Technicians blamed atmospheric interference triggered by the meteor impact, while others feared that something more intelligent was blocking transmissions. Night returned slowly, covering the landscape with deep shadows while wind rustled the trees. The fused being reached the facility gate and climbed the wall without alerting security. Organic matter bonded with metal surfaces, allowing silent travel across rooftops and reinforced panels. The fused being observed through windows and skylights, studying human behavior, technology, and military structure with analytical intent. It remained unseen and untouched, as if invisibility had become a natural gift. None of the workers inside had any idea that something not from their world watched them from only a few meters away. In the briefing chamber, researchers played the footage of the organism bonding with the alien hunter. The room fell silent as everyone analyzed the transformation frame by frame. The director identified two critical points within the recording. The organism was intelligent and adaptive, and the alien hunter was strategic and methodical. Combined, they formed an entity beyond ordinary biological rules. Scientists quietly debated whether this fusion created a new life category or something beyond simple classification. Their discussion reflected a mixture of wonder, curiosity, and growing caution. While experts argued and data streamed across screens, the fused being left the facility unnoticed, choosing not to reveal itself. Yet it returned to the forest, where it found shelter beneath a large rock formation. The living organism whispered within its mind in a language built from impulses and instinct. The alien hunter understood every signal without words, as if the connection had been natural since birth. They both agreed on one thing: Earth held opportunity. An unknown challenge. The fused being looked toward the horizon, sensing that its journey had only begun. Morning light rose above the forest, painting trees with warm gold tint. The fused being woke slowly, adjusting to sound, heat, and terrain with remarkable awareness. Birds flew above, carrying small branches and leaves, while the forest resumed familiar daily rhythm, unaware of the hidden hunter within it. The fused being sensed distant motion patterns coming from the facility and decided to follow the faint signals once more. It moved along rocks fallen, trunks shallow rivers and narrow clearings, creating no disturbance at all. The journey had purpose but not aggression, making it feel like a silent explorer instead of a threat. At the facility, researchers gathered in the main hall with tense expressions on their faces. Reports of energy spikes, thermal irregularities, and unknown interference had triggered emergency protocols overnight. The director ordered full evacuation of non-essential staff while military units prepared to secure the perimeter. Helicopters lined up on the landing pad with rotors slowly turning, creating clouds of dust and leaves around the pad. Technicians carried storage boxes filled with samples and footage, while scientists hurried with final notes and theories. Despite all preparation, none of them understood what truly lived beyond the forest line. The fused being reached the edge of the forest and crouched behind thick bush, observing the facility from safe distance. It watched helicopters lift into the air one by one, each carrying humans away from the location in haste. The living organism pulsed across its armor, creating small waves of movement like ripples traveling beneath a pond surface. The alien hunter mind remained calm, analyzing escape patterns, travel routes, and possible landing zones for the helicopters. The fused being did not pursue, for its purpose did not align with capture or harm. It simply watched, learning and expanding understanding with each new observation. Back in the air, researchers reviewed footage on portable screens, trying to process what they had witnessed within the forest. Their conversations reflected fear and curiosity blended into something no scientific training could properly manage. Some believed the fused being might be the next step of biological evolution, while others feared that the creature represented an unpredictable anomaly. The director remained silent during most of the flight, gazing out the window toward the forest. Shrinking beneath the helicopter, he wondered whether humanity had encountered a new ally, a new opponent, or something entirely neutral. The future offered no clear answer, and that absence of clarity made the situation even more heavy. When the helicopters disappeared beyond the horizon, the facility entrance remained open with alarms flashing, yet unanswered. The fused being walked forward through the clearing and entered the abandoned site with measured steps. Empty halls echoed with faint vibrations, carried through metal flooring and glass panels. The fused being studied screens, tools, maps, and equipment, tracing the life patterns that had filled the building only moments before it found recorded images of its own form, captured through cameras and sensors, and analyzed them with curiosity. It saw itself through human eyes, and the experience fascinated both parts of its fused mind. After exploring the facility, the fused being returned to the forest interior. Once again, the dark living organism tightened and released across armor, indicating interest in unknown territory beyond the hills. The alien hunter mind mapped routes that extended far beyond the local region, reaching cities, coastlines, and mountains. The fused being understood that Earth contained variety, complexity, and challenge, perhaps more than any world previously known. It looked toward the horizon, where blue sky met distant land, and began walking forward at steady pace. The creature had no master, no enemy, no directive beyond discovery. Time passed, and news of the facility incident reached wider circles of government research and media. Officials debated authenticity of the reports, while skeptics dismissed them as misinterpreted wildlife footage. However, communication, logs, footage, samples, and energy scans continued to support the reality of the encounter. Teams were sent to investigate the forest, but found no hostile activity and no trace of destruction. All they found were footprints, unique thermal signatures, and broken communication equipment that defied explanation. Every new detail painted a larger picture, yet no definitive conclusion emerged. Far beyond the forest, the fused being reached a cliff overlooking a distant human city. Lights flickered across buildings, vehicles, and signs, forming patterns both chaotic and beautiful. The living organism reacted with interest, while the alien hunter mind calculated countless paths and opportunities within the urban environment. The fused being realized Earth was not merely a location, but a dynamic ecosystem filled with unknown potential. It stepped forward, allowing the wind to carry scent information, temperature gradients, and city vibrations into its awareness. The journey of the ultimate hunter had only begun, and Earth would become the next stage of its evolution.